Today I will be doing unboxing and review of 8BitDo Ultimate 2C Gamepad. Spoiler alert, I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. Alright, so first up, let's talk about the unboxing experience. It comes in this really compact, lightweight box, but honestly, the second you hold it, the presentation kind of feels premium. The very first thing that is noticeable, and a really satisfying touch, is the dedicated pull tab for the plastic seal on the box. For a $30 controller, they seriously didn't cheap out with the box or the packaging layout. When you slide it open, everything inside comes very neatly organized. The analog sticks have these protective circular foam rings wrapped tightly around them to prevent any drifting or grinding during shipping, and the face buttons have a clean plastic film sitting on them. It's clear they put a lot of thought into the initial presentation, so the unboxing experience was very good and starts things off on a high note. Moving on to the actual physical design, this controller is a complete no-nonsense controller. It's very standard, simple, and stripped down. It doesn't have too many fancy things, flashy RGB, or over-the-top gimmicks going on. If you compare it to the recent competitive gamepads from GameSir, the most obvious omission is that it doesn't have any back buttons or rear paddles on the grips. Instead of back paddles, what it does have is two extra programmable buttons tucked up top, nested right in that tight space between the shoulder bumpers and the analog triggers. Now, even though the overall layout and feature set is very basic, it is an incredibly well-built controller. The plastic shell doesn't flex or creak, it feels completely solid in the hands, and it has a dense, robust weight to it that gives it an immediate premium edge. But as good as the physical assembly is, there are definitely some things about it that I am just not a huge fan of during actual use. I'm coming directly from using the Nova 2 Lite from GameSir as my main driver, and when you start comparing this Ultimate 2C directly to the Nova 2 Lite, I honestly think the Nova 2 Lite is just the overall better controller for day-to-day gaming. The main issue for me comes down to the control range. The physical range of motion on both the analog triggers and the joysticks feels a lot more spacious, wider, and more extensive on the Nova 2 Lite, which gives you much more granular precision in racing or shooting games. On top of that, the Nova 2 Lite has way better, significantly more powerful vibration feedback. The rumble on this Ultimate 2C feels a bit weak and shallow by comparison, losing some of that in-game immersion. Don't get me wrong, the Ultimate 2C is definitely more well-built structurally, and it gives you a slightly more premium-feeling texture in the hand than the plastic on the Nova 2 Lite does. But I think in terms of everything else that actually impacts your performance and feel during gameplay, the Nova 2 Lite is superior gamepad in my opinion. At the end of the day, this is a perfectly okay controller for $30 if you don't care much about extra software features, heavy rumble, or macro mapping, and you literally just want a solid, basic controller that can take a beating. But if you're looking around that exact same price point, the Nova 2 Lite is simply a better buy because it packs in more usable features, and honestly, the tactile response of the D-pad feels way crisper and better on the GameSir than the slightly loose feel on the Ultimate 2C. Now let's try out some games.
Fists of mine!